Hey, good morning or good afternoon. I'm kind of discombobulated from yesterday. I'm still recovering some late time on 4th of July, but I'm a crispy critter, as I like to say, from too much sun. But how
Yeah,
are you doing, Teresa?
I'm doing really well.
Awesome. Well, today I wanted to bring you on to discuss the damaging and inflammatory effects of sugar. And I think a lot of people, I do for myself, is when we say the word sugar, we think of the white table sugar that's granulated. But there's, I think from my research, I've found over 63 different names of sugar because the industry is becoming more smarter to the consumer, reading labels. And so I want to talk more about just the nominal white sugar, but hidden sugars, sugars that people wouldn't even think as being harmful to their body that are alternative or healthy. So I wanted to bring you on and just kind of discuss the inflammatory cascade of how it begins with blood sugar dysregulation in our bodies and how that leads to an inflammatory process.
Yeah, for sure. It's a huge issue. Like you said, the industry is very slick. They're very smooth. It's sort of like how they snuck gluten into things that we didn't realize. And
Toothpaste,
yeah, toothpaste, right? Sugar's in toothpaste too, which seems counterintuitive, but it is. Chemicals, all kinds of things in our shampoo and body wash and whatever, all the stuff, and it creates a lot of issue, where and the thing that comes to mind, like right off the top of my head, besides the fact that it creates this blood sugar dysregulation, which is like a very pro-inflammatory process, it feeds yeast, which, like most people are ridden with yeast and they don't even realize it. And yeast craves sugar, so it makes the yeast proliferate because it just makes you want to feed the hungry animal all the time. So sugar is a big deal. And and
100%.
coming off of sugar can be absolutely horrendous. Like the symptoms can be, don't have to be, aren't always, but can be really not insignificant. It can be a really just overwhelming and painful and very emotional. There's an emotional thing attachment. It actually like releases dopamine and in the brain and it makes us feel good. That's why we want it. And that so giving it up is like cutting your arm off. It hurts.
Definitely does. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I
So
want to I want to real quick read this portion of a snippet from a landmark study. It was published in December of 2004 in the Journal of the American College of Nutrition. It was led by a team of researchers, and what they did was they studied the nutritional data from 1950 to 1999 for 43 different vegetables and fruits, and they discovered reliable declines in the amount of protein, calcium, phosphorus, iron, vitamin B2, and vitamin C over the past half century. And just let that sink in. And the way that you'd want to think about that is just look at the type of foods that we're eating. And this was kind of important for me personally because yesterday was 4th of July. And so think of all the families. I'm not saying that you can just completely bomb it and blow it. No, it's okay if you do it every once in a while, but just picture yourself yesterday and what all you consumed in foods for treats, pastries, just desserts or whatever, and think of how many times you do that. And just in lieu of that statement I made about how the foods that we consume today are on a steadily decline of their nutritional content and value.
yeah, it is true. And like even if you're trying to eat healthy, like if you're addicted to sugar, you're always trying to find a workaround. Like you're always trying to find a way to feed that monster in a way that seems healthy. So, like we'll mention, like some names of sugars, things that sugar is hidden in, but we'll also mention like healthy alternatives, even some of the healthy alternatives. If there's only one healthy alternative that doesn't do the same thing in your brain that some of the other sugar sources do. And so finding ways to palliate the sweet tooth, so to speak, those sugar taste buds actually, really they have a need to be fed and finding a way to satiate that so that it doesn't just drive you. Yeah, but it can be really challenging. And giving it up, like I said, could be like cutting off your arm. it can create a real stronghold in our hearts and in our minds. And it's like, it's giving up alcohol and giving up cigarettes. Like you don't have to have those things to survive. You have to
Hmm.
have food to survive. And
Hmm.
so finding a way to eat healthy and get nutrition in your diet can be really challenging if your focus is always on the quick, the easy, the sweet, the salty, things that our modern food supply tends to really generate. Then it literally has chemicals in it that generates this need and this drive in us to have more of those things. The one of the best books I ever read, actually I've read several, but the one is all focused on nutrition. And he's like, eat a pound of salad every day, a pound of raw vegetables every day. That should be like your main meal, because there's so much good stuff in Eat the Rainbow, because eat all those colors and vegetables, they all have polyphenols that all do different things in the body, and we need them all, not just like, we tend to get, I'm guilty of this in a very busy lifestyle, tend to get in a rut, right? Tend to eat the same thing, for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Or maybe if I intermittent fast, I just have the same lunch and same dinner. And I look and there's no variety. But
Yeah.
then if literally, and this is one thing I said to my husband the other day, if you drive down the highway and you notice the billboards, all these advertisements for all these like places to eat, everything's brown. Everything is brown. Hamburgers, French fries, chicken nuggets, you know, all everything, Doritos, they're all brown. Everything's brown. There's no color. So
You
where
say brown,
if there's no color, there's no nutrition. I mean, yes, there's some
right?
nutrition in a potato, unadulterated, unfried potato. However, for the most part, if all we're eating is everything brown, we're not getting what we need to feed our bodies and to feed ourselves and to get the nutrition into ourselves so that they work the way that we're supposed to.
Mhm. You said a potato, and I learned a really cool trick yesterday is that you can take a potato and go across your grill with it, and it will help for your stuff to not naturally stick, and it'll help minimize the carcinogenic toxins that are created when you're grilling foods, those black char marks.
Yeah,
Um, that's why barbecue so good, especially for me being down here in the South. It's highly toxic, highly carcinogenic because of the
yeah,
bark. That black char on top is very bad,
yeah,
and it's loaded with, I think it's PAHs. I can't, I don't know the scientific name there of PAHs, but hydrocarbons to some degree, poly something hydrocarbons. I don't know, polyacrylic hydrocarbons maybe. But to me, what constitute a great nutrition plan is to get maximal nutrients. So eat the rainbow. Those are high in the polyphenols and antioxidants that your body needs, and then minimal toxins. That's the other side of the same coin there, that the foods we eat should ideally be a minimal amount of toxins. And I know for some people, they may not have a profound microbiome at this moment to actually be able to process a diet that's high in the rainbow because of, what they've been used to eating for so long. Like I grew up eating a standard American diet, all those brown foods that you mentioned. When you said brown, my mind immediately went to breads
yep.
and fried foods.
Fish
And you're
sticks and
right,
tater tots,
chicken nuggets.
chicken nuggets and French fries.
Yeah. And I was thinking yesterday, while on the boat on the water, like we brought 3 coolers full of food, and this is for 7 people. We were on a pontoon boat, and I met up with my sister, and I actually mentally compared what I had to what she had. She had very little, and she had um burritos that she bought. So these are probably foods that are very easy to take on. They're light. You don't have to take a lot of space for them. They can feed a lot of people. It's cheap. You're using probably seed oils to cook these or heat these tortillas up. They're flours, so there's highly refined processed foods there. And then they were basically breakfast, egg, cheese, and sausage type burritos. My wife and I, we packed papaya, white nectarines, pineapple, loads of guacamole, um, lots of fruits, celery. We usually make a lot of chicken salad that we make homemade and just making lettuce wraps, but we were kind of lazy, so we didn't do that. Instead, we packed sandwiches, but we used a bread called uh, Mountain White Bakery. It's a gluten-free bread, still processed, but it was a workaround for us to get something into our bodies. But the point is that in comparison to what other people typically do on major holidays, give it Labor Day, Memorial Day, especially when they're out on the lake. There's a lot of times for grilling, especially down here in the South in Texas. And a lot of people eat these bad foods. And given that it's one day of the year, right? But a lot of people unfortunately eat like this every single day.
Yeah.
And a prime example is my father-in-law. His wife is like, "Oh, honey, your legs are starting to swell. It's your neuropathy." And he's like, "Yeah." And she's like, "Your daddy had that." I'm like, well, he doesn't have it because his dad has it. He has it because he followed the same behavioral patterns as his
Right.
father,
Yep.
eating the foods. And this is what the sugar can actually damage. It creates advanced glycation in products, which is basically sticky proteins that stick to your blood and cause damage. And that's why diabetics or those who have insulin resistance will get neuropathy because it damages the nerve endings.
And
And
that's
then
what
they,
we measure. We're measuring that when we do the HbA1c, everybody, the hemoglobin A1c,
Mhm,
it's a measurement of the glycated products and how much of that the glycated protein is stuck to the hemoglobin and red blood cells. And we know that we should have like 4.6 or 4.8 to 5.6%. And we know that red blood cells live for 3 months, 190 days. So ideally 5% or less is better. Because when you're starting to get up there, then you're, getting into the like pre-diabetic range. But that's why we measure that because but you're right, like that sticky sugary protein that gets stuck there, it damages the cells and it makes it hard for, good things to get in, like the vitamins and nutrition that are in the food that we're eating, if there is anything in the food. And it makes it
mhm,
hard for hormones to get in. It makes it hard for the cell to work the way it's supposed to, make energy, detoxify, convert hormones, all that stuff. So yeah, the sugar is a not like it's not benign and it's everywhere. It's everywhere and everything. I literally like and even like I visited my mom yesterday. We ordered a salad. That was awesome. That was what she wanted. I was awesome. But I opened a refrigerator to find a snack for my dog because I forgot to take food for her and she was getting hungry. And there's things in her refrigerator that I wouldn't necessarily buy. And things that are touted to be healthy that have tons of sugar, tons of processed things.
mhm,
And it's just a lack of awareness. Most people think that they're eating healthy even and aren't because they don't have an awareness. To me, my thing I tell my folks every patient that I talk to, if it doesn't grow out of the ground, come off of a tree, or wander around and eat grass or pick a seed in worms, then you probably shouldn't eat it. Now, there are a few things that I will eat prepackaged, like I do have protein, like organic, good quality protein to put in a smoothie. I
mhm,
will do, like I do buy lentil pasta, things like that, because I don't eat a lot of pasta, but I do eat some. But it's never, it's all, like all legume based. And that comes in a box. But for the most part, what I eat is not processed. We have to prepare and it's hard, when you have a busy life like I do, finding things to eat that, are quick and easy to make. And I find meal prepping to be like a godsend because I make everything I need for the whole week on a Sunday afternoon and
mhm.
then I'm good to go because I don't have to think about it and it's done. And then I don't like, you know, skip a meal or eat, maybe eat something that my my husband doesn't eat as well as I do. He eats 90% well and then he has his things that, baby Ruth.
Good old candy bar. I
Snickers.
think people have those little one-offs where they just have that one thing that they can't give up. If it's only just that one thing, but I always try to live by the 90-10 or the 80-20 rule. Do right 80 to 90% of the time and allow that little wiggle room for days like yesterday or the other holidays I mentioned. But when you look at our calendar and you look at just in general, you head into the summer season, going into fall when school starts, you've got nominal holidays out there that fall in October, then November, then December, then New Year's, and think of kids who have kids' birthday parties at school events or what have you. And it's just like we're always, and it's so funny that like whenever sweets and treats and this like in the fall season come about, that's also the quote unquote flu season. when you look at sugar, it weakens the immune system. And there's several
100%.
problems with it.
Yeah.
The largest source of calories for individuals living in westernized developed countries comes from sugar.
Mhm.
And we know that it increases insulin levels. We know that it's a leading factor to diabetes and metabolic syndrome. And, insulin levels promote fat accumulation and inflammation throughout the body, which is going to make your body set up for disease processes quicker
Mhm.
as you age. And so that's why it's a slow poisoning of yourself over time. And then all of a sudden you just, wow, where did I get this, kind of tire around my midsection? Or it seems like it just crept up overnight, but it was a slow process of 10 to 20 years.
Heart
And so
disease, same
where,
thing. Heart disease is the same thing. It's an
yeah,
inflammatory process. It's not a
absolutely.
cholesterol issue. It's a sugar and an inflammation issue.
Mhm. And that fat accumulation through insulin oftentimes will point, and the inflammation is because of why we have the LDL, the bad cholesterol, which really it's not. Why would God create anything in our body that's bad, right?
Right.
That LDL is a process of the innate immune system, and it's just kind of framed, it's just kind of there, but it really wasn't the culprit. It's just trying to do its job by repairing stuff
Yep.
because of the inflammation.
And if you
And so
increase your HDL by eating good, like good healthy fats like
it's protective.
avocado and olive oil, it helps carry the LDL back to the liver to break down. So it's very protective. So yeah, but the, like if I see somebody with high triglycerides and high cholesterol, it's called mixed lipid hyperlipidemia. That's that to me is more of an issue than just the elevated cholesterol a little bit,
100%.
because the triglycerides are a direct correlation with the blood sugar, and you don't
100%.
you don't want to mess with that. That's
100%.
where, and the, like when I look at the other marker I look at too is highly sensitive, highly specific CRP, C-reactive protein. It's an inflammatory marker. There's one lab company I use, they changed the name to cardiac CRP. And I'm like, no, why'd you do that? Because now people get scared. There's other reasons for our body to be inflamed. You know,
Right.
it doesn't just this is not just that marker that's only important when talking about and considering cardiac risk.
Hmm.
But they changed it because they now know that heart disease is an inflammatory process.
Absolutely.
So
You mentioned two things too earlier about the dopamine response, the reward response that sugar
yeah,
incites the brain, and sugar can
yeah,
rewire the brain's pathways. So diets that are full of processed foods, sugar-heavy foods, or foods that convert quickly to sugar increase the risk of depression by 58%. And then, as
yep,
you just mentioned about the heart, sugar inflames the linings of the arteries to the heart,
yep,
increasing the risk of stroke and heart attack.
yep,
You said it about our heart, that's still the number one leading cause of death in the United States today.
yep. It is. And heart disease is, like one major thing. People are really afraid of cancer. Cancer thrives in a sugary environment because because of the inflammation and the high oxidative stress that causes the cell to not work the way it's supposed to, which is what cancer is when a cell it kind of goes sideways and starts to act in a way that's not supposed to. If we eat a diet that's low in sugar and high in polyphenols, all those colors, they all have different properties and they all have antioxidant properties, which helps to lower the oxidative stress in the body. So
Mhm.
a diet that's rich in color is really an anti-cancer diet.
Absolutely. I believe that 100%. And then the thing about sugar is that it'll um, set the body up for deficiencies in those important, it actually depletes the cells and dehydrates them and depletes the body of these critical electrolytes too, so that we can't even obtain them from our body
Yeah.
and get um, nutrients that we need from the foods that we want to eat. And going back to also what you said earlier about being very busy, because I can relate that too, and the meal prepping, because I've coached and you've helped so many people that struggle with, well, how am I going to fit this into my schedule? Thankfully, there's places like balancedbites.com who are very strict on the type of foods that they create and they meal prep already for you. So people that are very busy, we're kind of running out of excuses for ourselves to justify the reason of why we eat foods very quickly.
Yeah.
Not like eating them in a succession of quickly eating, but no, being on the run and trying to eat foods. But um, because I do know a lot of people who are just always constantly on the go, and they're like, I don't have time, just I'm at work and I barely have time, 30 minutes. And then so I just go right down here to Chick-fil-A because to me, I think they're the most healthy. And technically they're not. They just actually not passed, but changed their standards on their chicken because used to they were 100% real chicken, raw or not raw, antibiotic free chicken. But now they've did something in their I don't know what they did, but they changed the rule to where now they're a little bit more open-minded about what chickens they use. And when you start to look at the ingredients that are in their sauces, in their French fries, in their mac and cheese, in their original chicken sandwich, in their grilled chicken sandwich, you
Yep.
start to learn that their chicken sandwich should be one ingredient, chicken. Okay, maybe 5 or 6 seasonings there for taste. But when they start to have 46 ingredients because they compound it and they fill it with fillers to make it more tasteful, they even have MSG in there. And you start coupling these with sugar itself or with a highly refined bun that's processed and will convert to sugar quickly, it has more harmful effects on our body in lieu of the other ingredients that are also going to harm your body.
Yep.
And so it's kind of like a double whammy.
It is. And so, the thing that comes to mind then is where people are like, okay, well, I'm gonna stop drinking Coke and I'm gonna drink Diet Coke, like that's so much healthier. No, actually, you'd be better off, and this is the only time you're gonna have me saying this, you'd be better off eating the sugar in the Coke than the Diet Coke because the chemicals, the artificial sweeteners, your brain doesn't know the difference. They think that they're doing better, they think that it's gonna help their blood sugar. Your brain looks at it just like it's sugar, except that it's a chemical. It also doesn't know what to do with it. And
Mhm.
it's harmful in other ways, not just in the ways that sugar is harmful. So it's a bad idea. I have a friend who's a diabetic who is very health conscious and
That's
has even been doing, he's diabetic and he's been doing really well, lost a bunch of weight, did some of the things that I suggested, has done some things on his own. But I was with him the other day and he had Diet Coke and I was like, "Hmm, okay, well, I think we need some more education."
yeah, the
But
drinks.
his comment was, this is hard to give up because it's just as, if not more so, addicting than the sugar itself. And aspartame, which is NutraSweet, which is what they sweeten most of the stuff with, is one of the leading causes of migraines. And it's like one chemical element, one chemical bond away from like styrofoam,
I know it's wild. What's even more wild is that
formaldehyde.
a lot of these ingredients are banned in the European Union.
Mhm.
And if our FDA, our USDA people here are out to have our best interest in health, why is it that a lot of these ingredients, if you go to Europe, are banned or illegal to put in food, yet here they're okay? It just doesn't
Yeah,
make sense. Start to think about it from a logical perspective. And
yeah.
uh, we have about 9 minutes left here. I know you got to run, and so I want to wrap this up. And I want to talk about one thing because after exercise or post workout, I love making smoothies with whey protein and berries. And you see shops out
But I'm
there like
gonna go make when we're done. It's lunchtime
nice.
here.
That's a great way to get in a lot of nutrition is through a smoothie. But I want to encourage people to not go and get smoothies from Smoothie King or places that are like that. It's better off to just go buy organic wild berries and make
Yeah.
your own smoothies at home because you actually get to control what's in them. And a lot of times at these smoothie shops that tout to be exceptionally healthy, they're adding sugars to make their drinks more addictive. So you come back.
Yep.
That's kind of their business model, which is
That's
sad.
that's the whole point of a lot of the processed foods is they add things to make you crave it and want to buy more. So shop on the outside rim of the grocery store, kind of skip the aisles in the middle, and have 90. I read 300 and this is like my daughter's like, Mom, you're such a geek. I was on vacation couple oh, it's like 5 years, probably more than that ago, probably 5 or more years ago. I took a book with me. It was a 385-page book called The China Study. And it was a scientist who went to do research in China and came away with results that he was not expecting to find. And basically, the long story short is the majority of your diet should be plant-based. whole food, plant-based, because that's where you get all your nutrition from. You can have animal products if they're good quality choices, but the majority of your diet should be fruits and vegetables. And like me, I don't have that big of a appetite as I get older. My appetite's smaller, so I can't, like I don't feel like I want to stuff it down my throat. So one of the things that I've started doing is I have an organic dehydrated fruit and vegetable powder that I use, and I add that to my smoothie. And it has like 26 different things in it, different fruits and vegetables. It's not the best. Like I still do use frozen berries. I still do put spinach or kale or, you know, if you want a really good one, put arugula in there. That gives it a little snap to it. It's like you're not expecting that in your smoothie, but that's pretty good. But I usually do, like um, water or like a coconut, plain just coconut yogurt. So I have some kind of probiotic in there. And then I'll do some kind of green, like I said, organic spinach or kale. Or right now my lettuce is going crazy, so I've been doing lettuce. Um, and then I do, some kind of protein powder, whether it's whey powder, organic grass-fed, or hemp, like organic hemp or pea protein.
Mhm.
And then some kind of frozen, like right now I have mixed berries. It's blackberries, blueberries, and strawberries, and I've been using that. And then sometimes I'll add in, believe it or not, I'll add in a whole banana with the skin, because bananas tend to be a higher glycemic fruit. But if you put them in with the skin is an insoluble fiber, and it actually slows down the conversion of the fructose in the banana to sugar. And so it takes away that high glycemic index. It really lowers that number then. And if you let it, I have a NutriBullet, and if I let it, whiz around for long enough, you can't taste the skin. There's no consistency to it. It just pulverizes it. It's like very
Awesome.
good. Yeah.
I put a banana in all my smoothies and I never use the skin.
The other
Oh,
thing I wanted to say, so two points I wanted to make before you close. So healthy alternatives. My very favorite is stevia. I know a lot of people don't like it because it has an aftertaste. I tend to use the drops rather than the powder.
mhm.
And one drop goes a long way. And then if I had to choose, my next favorite would be like coconut sugar, but that's still, and dates and maple syrup and honey, they still change your glycemic, they still have a high glycemic index. So a little bit goes a
Right.
long way. I tend to stay away from, I used to do the alcohol sugar based, like erythritol, xylitol, and things like that. But the more research I've done, I've talked to some other doctor friends, I'm kind of like, not my favorite. And then things to help control your blood sugar. So cinnamon is like, you can get your hands on it. Ceylon cinnamon, not cassia. I'm sorry, which one is it? There's two
It's
different.
gone.
Ceylon cinnamon
Yeah.
is the best one, not the, because it has a different compound than the regular cassia cinnamon. But
Ceylon is
that'll
spelled Celeyon, I think.
Eylon. Yep. And that's really good at helping to like even out blood sugar. Berberine. I
Everything's
just was reading
fantastic.
some research on berberine. Berberine is great for a lot of things. It's viral, antioxidant, and helps to regulate blood sugar.
Let me just say this.
My
Berberine is nature's Ozempic.
It is amazing. But my very, 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 very favorite, if you have sugar cravings and you also have sugar control issues, Genema is an Ayurvedic herb that literally blunts your sugar taste buds.
Yep.
Like I took a tablespoon, I was at a seminar, they were talking about all this. They gave us a tablespoon of the Genema, just pure Genema. And then they gave us a Hershey Kiss. I swear I could not taste anything. The Hershey Kiss had no flavor at all. It just tasted like wax in my mouth. So I kind of like spit it back out and I didn't swallow it because it was like, that's gross. If my sugar taste buds are, you know, like blunted and there's nothing there but just that waxy flavor, why would I want to swallow that? So
Yep.
Genema is amazing at helping with the sugar cravings. and also helping to regulate blood sugar. So there's a couple of products that I really like that actually combine those three things. And so it really helps with controlling the cravings, controlling, curbing some of the symptoms that you kind of feel. It also helps while you're coming off of sugar to not struggle with that so much, but also helps to balance your blood sugar as you learn to process. And then the other thing I would say, you made a point about if you're going to increase the fiber in your diet by, eating a lot more fruits and vegetables, sometimes we have a hard time digesting that. That's because our hydrochloric acid starts to go down. If we don't stimulate hydrochloric acid production in our stomach by eating the right kinds of food, then we don't have it to begin the process of breaking and digesting foods. And we need some of those help with enzymes. So I usually recommend taking digestive enzymes and then refeeding the digestive tract, the microbiome in the gut. This is, homemade kombucha. I try to eat like a little bit of sauerkraut on my salad, or like I said, I get a plain yogurt, like with nothing in it, just the probiotic, and just kind of like a little bit every day, just to help feed it, and repopulate. You can do that with just food without having to take a probiotic supplement. So then doing all that will help, to kind of wake up your microbiome, wake up your own digestive enzyme, because your body has, like, digestion begins in the mouth. Our saliva contains amylase, which breaks down carbohydrates. We have our pancreas makes amylase and lipase, that's carbon fat. And then our stomach helps to produce protease, which helps to break down protein. And there's other enzymes that our body makes. Bile helps to break down fatty acids. That's our liver makes it, and our gallbladder stores it. There's all kinds of ways that our body makes it. But if we don't eat anything that stimulates the production, they go to sleep. So we
Yeah.
just need to gently wake them up and support them so that we can. If you have a hard time, you get gas and bloating when you eat fruits and vegetables, that's because you haven't been giving it something to eat, and you might have a bacterial overgrowth, which is a totally different topic. But taking the digestive enzymes is a good thing to start with and see how that goes.
100%. 3 steps to a healing diet. We'll close it here. Reduce sugar and grains, get rid of bad fat, add in more good fat, and then change the meat you eat.
Yep.
Changing the meat you eat meaning to go to grass-fed, grass-finished, or wild caught if you're doing seafood.
Yep. Absolutely.
100%.
All
Well, awesome,
right.
short, informative video here, and I hope that people enjoy it and find something informational and helpful, educational. Please like and follow us, subscribe to our channel. Check us out, Foundations in
Yeah.
Wellness. And you can find Teresa at Teresa Greco _NP. Is that correct?
Yep. I just changed it so people could find me easier. It was by the business name, and then, like somebody said, I can't find you because your name's not on there. And I was like, oh, let's change that.
Awesome.
So the other thing,
Thank you so much.
I'll just say one closing encouragement. This is, give yourself grace. It's a hard thing, giving up sugar, changing the way you eat, changing the way you live. It's not going to be like a snap your fingers and it's done. For some people, there are some people, absolutely, they have those like moment, they like aha moment, and they're like, I'm just going to change it, and they immediately, it's like the person that breaks the cigarette in half and says no more, and that's it, and they never have a desire. But they're the exception. Most people struggle, and so just give yourself grace. There's no, if you go into guilt and shame, you actually, like, really, it's like really does a lot to help dampen your positive efforts that you're making. So just stay away from guilt, stay away from shame, give yourself grace, and, just say the next choice I'm going to make is going to be in the right direction. So
Set small goals for little wins, and those little wins add up over time and become a grand victory.
amen. That's a really good quote. So,
That is just off the cuff.
that's pretty good. You should quote that one.
I'll have to go back and watch the recording and see.
Yeah.
I already don't remember it, but it's basically just the 1% better rule.
Yeah.
Don't get overwhelmed on the big list at large, but just, you know, take action on doing one thing today. And if that's, I'm going to eat less pastries this week. I usually eat 5. I go to Starbucks every morning and get a croissant. Well, only go 3 times a week.
Yeah.
And that's a starting
Can't eat
point.
the elephant all in one bite, my mom used to say. Take it one bite at a time. and eventually
Yeah,
you will get the whole thing down. So,
there you go. 100%.
alrighty.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Teresa. You have a blessed day, and we'll catch up again next week.
All right, sounds good. See ya.
All right, bye-bye.